Everyone cheer. 1, 2, 3, go!
Thank you all for being here today. We really appreciate you coming out and showing your support. I'm going to share a few words, but before I do that, I wanted to bring up a couple of folks who have also agreed to share some remarks, and I want to appreciate those folks also first for coming up and showing their support. So why don't we start off with our future supervisor, right? Kate Daniels.
Thank you, Gino, and thank you for stepping up and running for re-election. And this is the first, you were appointed, so this is the first actual election. So it is really a privilege to be here today and support you, because coming in January as the next supervisor, it is really important to me that I get to do something that I haven't really seen done well in the past, which is work with people like Gino, like really at a county level, engage with our cities. And Gino, your vision and what you care about, whether it's water, whether it's housing, whether it's transportation, these are the things that I really look forward to being a partner with you on the Monterey City Council to get what we need to get done. So I know that Gino has a competitor in this race, that there is another person that's in this race. And so I would also just say to all of you, having just come off a really successful campaign, everybody here has a role to play to ensure that Gino stays on the City of Monterey's council. The good news is that District 4 is a confined area with a certain number of voters. And so really getting organized, figuring out what's my responsibility, what are the streets I'm responsible for, what are the neighborhoods I'm responsible for, and really get out there and share your passion and your belief in Gino's leadership, because really boots on the ground. I think my launch event, it was on the steps of the City Hall in the city of Monterey, and it was about this size. And everybody who was there turned out to become my walkers, my phone bankers, the people who threw house parties, because all we have to do is make sure that people think of Gino when they vote. And that's something that all of you have a role to play in making sure it happens. And then the last thing, I was thinking about something this morning that is also very, very important. It is outrageous. I actually can't believe it's true that you are the first Latino to sit on the City of Monterey's City Council. To me, I actually do not know how that's possible, because when the Constitution of the state of California was adopted, it was written in Spanish and translated for the non-Spanish speakers. And the first language the Constitution of this state was written in was Spanish. And of course, you know the history that California became California after a war with Mexico. So it is really shocking that is the case. And so all the more reason we have to keep you on this council. Your voice, your perspective, your experience is necessary for the successful governing of this important city. So for that reason too, and then Esther just mouthed something to me that I want to make sure that I give another plug, and that other plug is fundraising. The good news is that it doesn't cost that much to be running a campaign for city council. So as many people who can max out your contribution to Gino, it is more important than ever. And then figure out how you can also max out a contribution to Tyler, because it's also super important. And Gino, that's something I'd love to help you with. I am happy to help connect you with folks that can give you that maximum contribution. I had to do a lot of that just recently, so I feel good. It's shocking that my balance is at 0. We did spend what we raised, but I still know all those people, so I'd be happy to help you with that. So congratulations and thank you for stepping up. And now all of the real work begins with all of you and everyone you know to reach the doors, to reach the voters, and get you back into office come November. So thank you. I'm privileged to be here, Gino.
Thank you so much, Kate. Really appreciate those words. Almost brought me to tears, and super excited to know that you'll be representing solidly our district here, and looking forward to partnerships. So next, our mayor.
Can't hear you in the back. No, thank you all so much for being here to support my man Gino here. I first met Gino. I probably should have met him earlier, but I first met Gino when he came out to support me when I was running for mayor for the first time, and he brought his kids with him, his family, and it just meant the world to me. When we see youth involved in these spaces, it makes us keep in mind the importance of thinking about our future, and that's what I've seen in Gino throughout the entire time that I've known him. It's not about him, it's not about one point of view or one perspective, it's about all of us coming together, whether we agree or disagree. And so I'm just so thankful for you. The reason why I said I probably should have met him sooner, and we probably should turn the camera off for this one, because I'm kind of embarrassed. I'm kind of embarrassed, but he did, and he's usually the one to share this story, but he did email me some time before I actually met him, and asked for an opportunity to meet up, and I completely, I don't know how I missed the email, so it happened, but I feel thankful. I mean, it was obviously meant to be for us to connect and continue working with each other, and what we did from that moment that we got together at my campaign kickoff was we went out and knocked on doors, because that's what campaigning is all about. It's about going out and talking to voters. We might feel really good in this space here, because we're all here to support Gino, but this race isn't going to be successful unless we talk to a majority of the people that are going to vote in this election, and that's talking to high propensity voters, people that we know that are going to vote. It's talking to new voters, particularly young voters. Give it up for Kamala for turning out from young voters this election season. But it's all really important, and I just kind of want to speak to a little bit more about what my experience has been like with working with Gino on the council. He is patient. There's a lot of folks that come to council members and they want things done, and they want them done right now. And it's important for us to take our time, unless it's an emergency, which we can contact police and fire if we need to, if it's a public safety issue. But otherwise, being able to take our time, make sure that we make the right policy decisions. And so sometimes I think Gino takes some shots because he's more quiet and patient around how he's going to handle things. But I think that's a wonderful attribute that's been added to the city council, because he's not going to be quick to jump out and try to say whatever is on his mind instantly. He's going to take his time and make sure that what he says adds value. And so every time Gino opens up his mouth, it's something that's really important for us to consider within the city of Monterey. He is very caring and compassionate about the work that he does. Similar to what Kate just brought in around the Hispanic community, which is the largest demographic in the city after whites. The fact that we haven't had that representation is shocking, and people don't realize it, but we have a lot of Spanish-speaking only families that exist here in the city of Monterey, and you have made it a purpose of yours, a drive, to make sure that the communication that we put out in the city of Monterey has also been translated into Spanish, so that we make sure, again, that we include all the voices in the city of Monterey. And you're just very enthusiastic around the work that you're doing. So what you have done, the seat that Gino is filling right now is an at-large seat. So this November, it's being transitioned to a district seat for the first time. But even though it's transitioning in November to a district seat, he's already been doing the work to represent this community. And in fact, as far as we know, he's the first person that's lived on this part of town that has been represented on the city council. And so, yes, give it up for Gino for that. So he's displayed this in many ways, and we're actually having conversations on the council that we never had before. Coming back from COVID, particularly around parks and recreation, our budget around parks and recreation, we had to find a way of opening up the different recreation facilities, and shockingly, the Kona Community Center was left unopened. And it wasn't until Gino put a lot of work, and there's still some work to do in that area, but putting a spotlight on the fact that it's just kind of weird that the less affluent part of town doesn't have their community center open. And so it's because Gino's been actively advocating for that on the council that we see some progress in that space. And then the last thing I would speak to, and this is something that Gino and I really, really align on, and I think we're making a lot of good progress in this area, is community engagement. Because just like I started, it's not about just one voice, it's about all of us coming together, and that's a lot of what he does with his day job and how he displays his values and the work that he does. And so we need to keep on that pressure. It goes in for affordable housing and making sure that we're hearing from those folks, the renting class, right? 66% of our community, and he's really making sure that we do that. And so I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Gino. You've made it easier for me. You've helped me feel more comfortable and wanting to continue doing the work that I'm doing, because it's tough. It's tough doing this. Dr. Barber knows it's really challenging to work a full-time day job, have all the other things going on, and then dealing with the pressure of what it takes to be on the city council. And I just appreciate you stepping forward to take on that mantle. And we're going to make it through. We're going to make it through this election, but we need all your support. So make sure that you can do whatever you can to support my man Gino over here. And without any further ado, let's give it up for Gino. Don't get me sick. That's right.
Thank you so much. I mean, how do I follow that? Before I jump into the points that I wanted to share, I also wanted to acknowledge Dr. Kim Barber for being here today. I really appreciate you coming through and showing your support. My experience in council throughout my appointment, I've learned a lot from what you have had to offer in terms of reasons why you make decisions the way that you do, and I really appreciate your thoughtfulness into the hard decisions that we've had to approach in the past couple of years. So thank you so much for your support. I wrote down a list, and I have it here on my phone. I'm not looking at Facebook or TikTok. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't forget these important points. Once again, thank you to Kate and Tyler for showing the support, showing the enthusiasm right behind not necessarily Gino running, but what it means for all of us to be involved in this campaign for District 4. This is not my campaign, it's not the Gino show. This is the opportunity for District 4 to really have a voice and have that seat at the table that we've been needing for a long time. So thank you so much, Kate. Thank you, Tyler, for your support. I'm really humbled by everyone's presence, and I really truly mean that, because I got appointed about a year and a half ago, and before then I was really on the periphery of local government. I do some work professionally that involves interaction with jurisdictions throughout the whole region, but not to the extent of the involvement that is required being in the actual seat. So I saw the opportunity for an appointment. I put in, the best information I could about the work that I've done, and hoped that people saw value in that. And fast forward, here we are. I've been serving for about a year and a half, which to me says something. Says that at least some folks saw value in what I brought to the table. And as these months have gone by, and in my interactions with my neighbors, my constituents, I've felt that appreciation, and I felt that support and enthusiasm for the the type of thoughtfulness that I bring to the decisions that I make. So to continuously see that support from neighbors, to me, means a lot. A reason why I've decided to run this year, is because for the very first time in our city's history, right, we're having an election for District 4. That's an amazing opportunity. And I welcome anyone from our district to put their name in the hat, because it's needed. Again, it's not about Gino, it's, you know, whoever can bring the best to the table, that's the person who gets to represent us. And I truly feel that in the year and a half that I've been in the appointment, I've had the opportunity, I've had that learning curve. I've had the opportunity to really soak in and learn about the different channels, the internal channels that allow us in local government to get things done. Now, I think it's no secret that deep down we all wish that things happened a little bit quicker, but we're working towards that, right? And great to have somebody who represents our specific needs and interests to make sure that we're capturing that information from our constituents, putting it in the proper channels, and pushing it as far as we can to make things happen. So seeing the tremendous educational opportunity, but then also understanding that, as our mayor mentioned, there's still a lot of work to be done. A year and a half is a very small amount of time to get much done. We've done a lot, but there's still a lot to get done. So I feel very excited about the idea of continuing to push the vision of our district, and continuing that effort to make sure that the visions that each of you have get heard, and then we move towards that. I've shared in the past the different items that are front and center for me, and our mayor shared a couple of them. First and foremost, community engagement for me is very important. Why? Because that's really where all decisions begin, I believe. It doesn't matter what the item is, the issue is. If you don't have community input on that item, you're making decisions blindly. So I see it throughout the region where there's that gap between community and local governments, where sometimes they're not talking to each other. That's something that we need to bridge. And I think we have that already going, but we just really need to enhance that and really maximize it. That's where we, as community members, right, have the power to, in our communication, tell those electeds what it is that we envision for our community, and then have them really advocate for that. So community engagement is really important for me. And intertwined with that, economic development for District 4, from what I've heard from our constituents, is also very important. And I say that it's intertwined because in my conversations with neighbors, something that comes up quite a bit is revitalization of North Fremont. So we need an economic development focus there to really address all the vacant lots that we see there. I mean, we have a perfect example right here across the street as well, where we have a vacant lot that sat there for many years, right? What can we do with that? There's so much potential, right? But going back to North Fremont, there's so much potential there, not only to do something good with those vacant lots, but also support our businesses that are trying to thrive in an area that's slowly, year after year, decaying. So going back to the idea of being intertwined, the more attention we put on North Fremont, right, the more amenities we produce for our neighborhoods here.
Yes.
Right? Let's, thank you. Yes. We have a supporter. Thank you, Kayla. I'll give you a cash later. No, yeah, this is a conversation that I've had with neighbors in the past. We want to go for a cup of coffee, and we have to go all around our community to find a place. Not that there aren't any, but you know, let's enhance our neighborhood so that we have that opportunity. So as neighbors, we can connect, right? And that does something to our community cohesion. So I'll speed it up a little bit because I'm not trying to hold you all this afternoon. I did want to touch on housing. Housing is a very important, yes, it's a very important topic, not only for the city of Monterey, but for the whole region, right? So I'm very excited as well to be receiving support from folks outside of our city, outside of our district, who see that also as a value, right? We need to talk about what we can do as a region to really improve conditions for our renters, for our homeowners, right? Because, I mean, prices keep going up, our families are struggling, so what are we gonna do? I've supported the rental registry, I've supported the rental assistance program, which is doing great things, but we need to do more. We have individuals, we have families who are struggling. I myself come from an immigrant family with very moderate, or not moderate, but very humble upbringing. And I had those experiences where affordable housing sometimes wasn't even available to us. So I've lived that experience where in instances I've had to sleep in a car because I don't have a roof over my head. And as a child, that does something, right? It has a very deep, lasting impact. We can't have that. We have students in our city who are sleeping in cars. That has a long-lasting effect. So, yeah, let's get to work. Let's get to November 6th, right? And really get down to business. We do have, as it was mentioned, opposition. So let's make sure that we're spreading the word of the work that we're trying to do here, now, and into the future. And try to eliminate that distraction. I like that we have the number 4 as our district. It's a nice round number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to request that each of you, after this gathering here today, go back home and think about those 4 people that you're going to approach and say, we need to keep Gino in office. Not because it's Gino, but because of the work that we're trying to continue to move forward. All right. Before I wrap up, I do want to share some thank yous here to everyone who has supported the campaign so far, either through monetary contributions, putting up a yard sign, saying, hey Gino, you got this, you got it. Just that moral support, a phone call here and there, a text message, or even just being here today. I really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for your support. Again, Kate Daniels, she already took off. She had another engagement. Tyler, Scott, I want to acknowledge. Scott, yes, my treasurer. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for dealing with the numbers because I can't make sense out of all that. And of course, Esther, thank you for being a loud voice in our community.
Yes. Loud is the operative word.
And I mean that affectionately. I appreciate it. I love the energy. It's needed, so thank you so much. In this whole experience of local government and jumping into the public eye, for me, family has been a critical component and continues to be a critical component that will I know lead us into a victory. So I want to acknowledge my brother. He couldn't make it this weekend. He had every intention but couldn't make it. He, for me, he's an older brother, so I've really looked up to him all my life. So I appreciate him at least wanting to be up here. He's here in spirit. My sister, who's here with us, Natalie. And her fur baby. I want to really show gratitude to Natalie because she has been the mastermind behind the design of this whole campaign. So everything you see, the shirt, the little mustache, the signs, all the collateral, that's been all her. So thank you so much. I love you so much for everything that you do, not just let's see, my kiddos, yes, where are they? So I have Bella over here, Lily over there, and Brody right next to, there you go. Yeah, you heard his name. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your presence. My son is at home, he couldn't be here today, but I really appreciate the love and support that they give in their own way. I know that after those long council meetings that we have that are really dense, that are really draining, I come home and see their smiles and it makes everything better. So I really appreciate you. And they're also part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing here today, because hopefully they'll get to reap the benefits of all the work that we're doing. Let's see, and I think that's it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was like, I'm gonna throw a shoe at you right now.
I'm gonna get out the way. Yeah, I'm gonna get way back.
And I don't need the phone for this one.
Yes.
So, from the very first moment that the seed was planted for the appointment, I thought, I've never really thought about local government. I've never really thought about doing this kind of work. It's intriguing, it's fascinating. There's a part of me that's interested, but I don't really know what it's about. So that's when Emily and I started having conversations. What could this look like for me, right? And that conversation developed. But what I quickly learned also was that this decision to put my name in the hat had to be more than about me. And if I was going to put my name in the hat, it was going to have to be a decision that came from both Emily and I. And we had many conversations. Is this something that we want to do? Do we want to be in the public eye? How is this going to impact our kids? How is this going to impact the heavy calendars that we already have, both having full-time jobs, being parents, trying to dedicate time to create that work-life balance, right? So
That's a problem.
So
Are you gonna do something about that?
I know, yeah.
These small airplanes.
Gotta add that to the list. So we had these conversations, and what it came down to was I knew deep in my heart that I was not gonna put my name in the hat unless Emily and I were in agreement that it was the right thing to do for both of us. So we decided, yes, let's go for it and let's try it out. And fast forward, we've gone through a year and a half of my appointment, and I mentioned those long meetings, right? Those really trying moments, right, where your ability to continue to do this is really questioned, because it's really hard to try to bring a perspective to a community and then have some members of that community really shoot it down with a very heated passion. I could take some of that, but I don't know that I can take all of that. But I've learned in the past year and a half that I've been able to take it, because when I come home and share all of that with my wife, she's there to back me up 150%. And when I'm feeling pretty low about some of these moments, she's right there to pick me right back up. And she says, hey, you gotta go and do the important work, because it's not about those few, right? It's about all the people that are counting on the work that you do. So I want to say thank you so much for being there. I love you from the bottom of my heart. And also, thank you so much for all this setup today and for the coffee. She was responsible for this whole coordination, so thank you so much. On that note, I'm going to ask everyone who is willing and able. There's a whole bunch of lawn signs here and door hangers and business cards. Please, let's spread the word. Remember, you have 4 folks to go out and talk to. And I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. And thank you.
So Gino!
Go District 4. District 4.